Good morning, students. I hope you are well at home and doing your studies. So, this is the 25th part of the unit second, that is units and measurement, and we are dealing with the topic rounding off. In the previous video, we had discussed about significant figures and what are the rules regarding the determination of significant figures in the measurement of a physical quantity, and what are the meaning of the significant figures. All things we had discussed in that video. Now today, something related to the significant figures, that is rounding off. What is rounding off? First of all, we will understand the meaning of rounding off. The physical meaning of rounding off, that is the life example. I am telling you, suppose you are going to market, and while you had visited the market, you had visited a grocery shop, you had visited a grocery shop, and you had purchased certain quantities. Suppose you had purchased potato, rice, onion, pulses, and all together, suppose something in rupees, in rupees, in rupees, all together, the shopkeeper costs you rupees 305.50. This is the cost which the shopkeeper, this is the cost of all the items the shopkeeper had given to you. Now you used to pursue to the shopkeeper to round off the whole quantity. Round off the whole quantity. Round off the whole quantity means round off the whole amount. Whatever the amount we had got, you pursue to the shopkeeper to round off it. That is, in trading sense, we use the term bargaining. That bargaining in trading sense and in physics, the same thing is called as rounding off. And while when you had bargained it, the shopkeeper had rounded off your amount about 300 rupees. 300. You had visited the malls, and in malls you had seen that when the items you are going to purchase, and after that whatever the billing amount, that billing amount will be rounded off. Rounded off means close to the even figure. What is the even figure close to that? Up to that, suppose it is 355, then it is rounded off to 350. So in trading sense, in life examples, this is just like that. But while rounding off, we are discussing rounding off in physics. So in physics, the meaning is same, the concept is same, but there are certain rules which is implemented in the physics which we have to study. So rounding off simply means that to get the approximate value of a quantity which contains certain superfluous and doubtful figures. Rounding off, if the approximate value of a quantity contains superfluous or doubtful figures, doubtful figures, then it is rounded off. Only the true significant figures significant figures are retained, and the doubtful figures are discarded. Meaning is very simple. We will discuss certain rules, but try to understand it. If the approximate value of a quantity, suppose you had approximated the value 35.658, the last one is the doubtful or superfluous figure, then this last one is discarded, and we have to close with only that figures which are significant ones. Only the significant figures are remained in the measurement. So what is the rules for discarding the superfluous or doubtful figure? That is called as rounding off. What is the meaning of rounding off? That is discarding the insignificant, superfluous or doubtful figures from the measured quantity is called as rounding off. Now we will study about certain rules for rounding off. What are the rules for rounding off? I hope you had understood this. I had explained with live example as well as definition, and by taking example also I had explained it. Now we will see certain rules for rounding off. What is the first rule? If the digit next to 1 to be rounded off is greater than 5, it is increased by 1. For example, suppose we had to round off 9.786. We have to round off 9.786. So here 6 is the superfluous part or uncertain part. So we have to discard or drop out this 6. And since 6 is greater than 5, so if the digit next to 1 to be rounded off, you have to round up to 8, and digit next to 8 is 6, which is greater than 5, then this digit is increased by 1, and after rounding off the result is written at 9.79. Now the second rule, if the digit next to 1 rounded off is less than 5, then the left is less than 5, if it is less than 5, it is left unchanged. It is left unchanged. Less than 5, then it is left unchanged. Whatever the digit to be rounded off, that digit left unchanged. There should not be any change in the digit which should be rounded off, which is to be rounded off. For example, 9.784. Since this digit is uncertain or doubtful, and if it is dropped, this 4 is dropped or discarded, then it is less than 5. So after rounding off, the number which we will get is 9.78. This digit remain unchanged. Now these are the two cases. Now the third case which arises, that if the digit which should be discarded is neither greater than 5 nor less than 5, it is exactly 5. It is exactly 5. Third one is if the digit to be rounded off if the digit next to be rounded off is 5. If the digit next to be rounded off is 5, then there are two cases. First one is the digit to be rounded off is increased by 1. If when it is increased by 1, if it is odd. If it is odd. Look at here, for example, 9.775. 9.775. If the digits to be rounded off, now look at here, if the digit next to be, so we have to round off up to 7 because 5 is uncertain, and this 5 is neither greater than 5 nor less than, it is exactly 5. So we have to see the digit before the 5, and if it is odd, so 7 is odd. Since 7 is odd, then it becomes 9.78. 1 is added. 1 is added in 7. And if the digit to be rounded off remains unchanged, this is B part. The digit to be rounded off remains unchanged if it is even. So suppose it is 9.785. Suppose it is 9.785. Since 8 up to 8 we have to round off, we have to drop the 5, it is exactly 5. Since the digit before the 5 is even, so it remains unchanged and it will become 9.7. So I think these three rules are clear to you, and these are the three basic rules for rounding off. In nutshell, I am summarizing the rule. First thing is, if the digit you are the digit which you are dropping is more than 5, then the digit which you are rounding off, 1 is increased in that. If the digit is less than 5, then the digit remains unchanged. If it is 5, then if the digit before the dropout digit is odd, then 1 is added, and if the digit before the dropout digit is even, then it remains unchanged. These are the rules for the rounding off. Now we will discuss about the propagation of significant figures or propagation of rounding off while arithmetical calculations.